Are Christians supposed to submit to all authority? Like, all authority? Like, all authority? Okay, straight up. Did God elect Donald Trump? Is that what God wanted? And what about all presidents, all prime ministers? Did God elect all of them? Welcome to What the Heaven, where it's good to ask questions. Every week, I answer questions that people send to me on Instagram, on Facebook, and down below in the comments. I'm doing a lot of the question asking today. I'm talking with my friend, Pastor Fred Ligon, who started 3E Restoration in Williamsburg, Virginia. And I asked him what he thinks about the idea in Romans chapter 13 that Christians must submit to authority. Does it sound crazy? It kind of sounds crazy. So in Romans chapter 13, it actually says that we should submit to authority. But here's the deal. Here's why I'm making this video. And I'll talk with Fred about this. A few weeks ago, one of my Christian friends posted Romans 13 on Facebook to tell Christians that they had to respect and they had to follow Donald Trump and everything that he did. But here's the problem. A couple of years ago, this woman did not follow President Obama, who had the same position. Now, if you're my Facebook friend who posted this, it's probably not you. But if it is you, I'm sorry for making this video, but I learned a lot. Christians, we love to use the Bible to our advantage. But what happens when we're wrong? Check out what Romans chapter 13 says. Let everyone be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except that which God has established. The authorities that exist have been established by God. Consequently, whoever rebels against the authority is rebelling against what God has instituted. For those who do so will bring judgment on themselves. For the one in authority is God's servant for your good. Therefore, it is necessary to submit to the authorities, not only because of the possible punishment, but also as a matter of conscience. Okay, I'm gonna go all mainstream here for a second. What about Hitler? If we always should submit to authority, should we have submitted to Hitler? Was it wrong for Christians to not respect Hitler? I don't know. What the heaven? If you want to learn more about the Bible, about Christianity, more about what Christians should do, we're going to learn a lot about that today. But first, if you haven't yet, go ahead and click the subscribe button, and then you can be notified about all of my new videos where I'm answering questions that people like you, yes, you, send in, and I get to find some nerdy, weird, and quasi-awkward explanations about what we should think about the Bible. All right, let's get into my interview with Fred and see what he has to say. I had one of those moments the other day where somebody posted something on Facebook and I typed up this just incredibly angry response, then had the self-control to delete the entire thing. In Romans, I think it's Romans chapter 13, Paul says that the governments are enabled and elected by God. 4 years ago, people were saying that about Obama. You must respect Obama because Romans 13. Now people are saying the exact same thing about Donald Trump because Romans 13. I know what I believe, but I'm really curious. How would you approach the idea that we must submit to authority because Paul wrote it in Romans 13?
So could you ask me all of the controversial Christian questions in one interview?
I'm just throwing them your way so no one gets mad at me.
You are picking from every single controversial issue in USA right now. Fred, what's your thought on this? Because I want you to get fired.
Yeah, right, Fred, who'd you vote for last night? No, partially though, man, like I'm married to a Canadian. I live in Southeast Asia. Like there's nobody I can talk about this with. Like I've been stuck in my neighborhood for 4 months. I haven't talked to an American in like months. Hey, there's Fred. You preached at a civil rights gathering 2 weeks ago. Yes, let me talk to you.
That's fantastic. All right, so here's the thing. I don't read Romans 13 outside of Romans 12 and outside of that back half of
Absolutely.
Romans 13. Romans 13 and the whole issue of government is literally sandwiched between Christians do this and then Christians do that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think when Paul talks about Romans 13, he's letting Christians know what's up in the world. He's not giving Christians a command. He's saying, love your neighbor as yourself. Vengeance is the Lord's. That's not your concern. The government may do some of that stuff, but you love your neighbors as you love yourself. Seriously, that's how it works. Romans 12, love your neighbor as yourself. Vengeance is the Lord's. Romans 13, the government may do some of that work. Romans 13, last half, love your neighbor as you love yourself. That's the only thing you owe anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think you can pluck Romans 13, the first half of it, out of the back half of Romans 13 and the last half of Romans 12 and deduce theologically accurate information or commitments or ethics that say, I got to do everything the government wants me to do.
Yeah.
Number one, Peter didn't even do that. Like, what did he
Yeah.
say? Remember standing before the Jewish Supreme Court? You
Yeah.
guys decide what's right in your eyes. We're going to do what God says. I'm totally jacking up the paraphrase, but like I think we are to do what Paul said to Timothy. We need to pray for our authorities. I think we need to pray. I think we need to do what Peter said, which I think is the most controversial at all in his letter, when he said to a bunch of Christians living under the persecution of Nero, honor the emperor. That's like, that would have gotten Peter fired.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We can honor the humanity of a leader, and we can honor, i.e., respect the power of that leader. But respecting the power or authority or the humanity of that leader is not a full-scale blank check of affirmation of that leader or even of that office. If the authority wielded from the government is a death-dealing, unjust authority, the kingdom of God has something to say about that, period.
Yeah, yeah.
The person in charge is a death-dealing, unjust authority, especially if they're a wolf in sheep's clothing. Claim to be a Christian and there's no fruit on that vine.
That would never happen. That never happens in America, though.
No. I mean, I know I'm speaking purely figuratively.
Yeah.
Hypothetically. Then the kingdom of God has something to say to that. If that makes the kingdom political, that's not the kingdom of God's concern. The issue is faithfulness, Pat. The issue is faithfulness. And sometimes to be faithful to Jesus leads you down a left side of a proverbial American aisle. Sometimes it leads you down the right side of the aisle. Sometimes it leads you outside of the room altogether. But the issue isn't which side of the aisle I'm on. The issue is which way is Jesus going.
When I think about Paul writing a letter about politics, I'm not thinking about him writing a letter to people who have a vote, to people who are represented, people who have a president who even cares. Well, a president, and then a leader who cares what they think at all. When we try to apply Romans 13 to our current political situation, we're almost saying that whoever is president happens to be a murderous dictator who can do whatever he wants. And yeah,
and the citizenry has no say-so, because Paul is literally writing to people who have no horse in the race whatsoever. And I think what Paul is doing is offering an apologetic, and he's saying, listen, the governments are genuinely out of your control in that way. God's not absent from that.
Yes, yeah.
But here's your ethic and your politic. Love your neighbor, love your neighbor. Don't take out vengeance, give your enemy something to eat or drink if they're hungry. The only debt you owe people is love your neighbor. God, the government's not lost on God. He's going to handle it.
Yeah, because that's all you can do. And the people back then, that's all they could do. And to us, we can do more. And if we had someone who was murdering people like the way Nero, for example, was murdering a religious minority, we could oust him. And I think that Paul would have said that. Yeah, I hope that we could oust him.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know if we could, and that's kind of the point.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I think we've romanticized the political landscape of a republic and a democracy, and to think that somehow we could do that. I'm not sure we can.
Yeah.
So, but here's the point, Pat. The church can't be lost in that question, or the church will lose herself. You know, the church is supposed to believe in an ethic that says love drives out fear, yet the church sometimes falls for an ethic of fear where fear ends up driving out love, and that's problematic. I think if the church recaptures her commitment to the political landscape of the kingdom of God, whatever politics Babylon offers will sort itself out in light of our own politics.